All right. So, I don't know if you want to intro it. Hey, that's up to you, man.
I guess we'll do that.
Dad, I got the questions here.
All right.
This will probably make the video, by the way.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. However many of you there are going to be for this interesting experiment. Welcome to the first ever Smart Mark Roommates Q&A. We asked for a bunch of questions. We got actually a fair amount, which is cool and still kind of weird that anyone would be interested in what the fuck we actually have to say.
That's true. I was reading these questions like they care what we think about that. I'm amazed.
It's still bizarre, but it's cool at the same time.
It is. So we're gonna answer it. So we might as well just get right into it, I guess. Daniela Miranda from Central America. Hey, how's it going? He asks, what are our thoughts on Lucha Underground? Do you consider it an alternative to the WWE product? Now, I have seen very little of Lucha Underground. I don't know about you.
I think, well, first of all, I believe this is Danny, so you may need to orient your gender there.
Daniela, it says Daniela. Daniela? Daniela Miranda, that's the name. See? Look right there.
It is?
I copy and pasted this.
All right.
Daniela, if you're a man, hi. And if you're a girl, hi as well.
I have a feeling we're going to find out later in the comments.
Probably, yeah.
As for...
And you can be whatever you like. It's you know,
well, sure.
We're totally cool with that.
Uh-huh.
It's nothing to us, but go ahead.
For Lucha Underground, yeah, my extent to being familiar with Lucha Underground is unfortunately just YouTube, because for a while I did have access to it through DirecTV, and then I ended up just giving it up because seriously, aside from watching wrestling live, I had absolutely no use for cable or satellite. I think for the most part everything else that I watch is available just on demand, and with things like Raw and SmackDown showing up elsewhere, I just don't always feel the need to see things right away, like as they broadcast. I think for a lot of people it's becoming sort of the same way, because if you look at how Netflix and Hulu Plus and Amazon Prime are, there's like that traditional method of viewing the content is really, it's not going away, but it's
well, no one, and I can speak to this from experience, I'm never available when those things are actually on.
Yeah.
So and that's one of the reasons I don't watch Lucha Underground is A, I don't get the channel that it's on, and I don't have that much, I barely even have time for, you know, WWE or anything like that. So I like the idea behind it, definitely. I think it's a good concept. I like the wrestling that I've seen from it, but I don't know that much about it.
The presentation is so far removed from, and I think a lot of people, you know, their only idea of wrestling is what they see on USA at 8 p.m. Eastern on Monday nights, and it's just not, there's so much more out there as far as like what wrestling can be.
Yeah, and that speaks to the whole. Is it a, you know, what was his thing? Is it an option to the WWE?
An alternative, yeah, and it certainly is, because more so than just a different style of wrestling, because it is lucha libre, which is it is very different from our American idea of pro wrestling. There's even from just the rules of it, like for example, in a tag or a trios match, as soon as a wrestler exits the ring and their feet touch the floor, one of the other team members immediately takes their spot and becomes the legal man inside. So it almost actually negates the reason for having like
hot fucking tags.
Yeah, exactly.
I've said it, I've spoken to you many times. I fucking hate the hot tag. I am not a fan of the hot tag match. And that's all WWE knows how to do. I hate that concept. I don't think it's fun to watch. I know exactly how the match is going to go. You can watch the last 5 minutes of every tag match and be fun.
And that's something we were actually talking about before we started shooting this, is that it's so easy, and I'm not going to be one of those who, I'm never going to just constantly shit on WWE. You know, we've got, the funny thing is, that's exactly what we're making fun of.
Kind of, yeah.
With this show, but it still baits so many people easily. But a lot of the problem with Raw, and to an extent SmackDown, is that it's so easy to tell when something is going to happen, like when they're going to a commercial break,
Yeah.
when the match is going to be over, what kind of finish there might be, and with something like, I mean, even NXT isn't as predictable, but certainly Lucha Underground is great for that, and not just for the wrestling, for the kind of storylines that they incorporate are night and day with the, I guess you could say, creative ideas. That's most of what WWE puts forward.
So the basic gist is we would watch it more if we had it available, but we don't. So
I think I did hear that if it hasn't happened already, they are going to put the entire first season of it up on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Which
Well,
would be
there you
awesome
go.
for a lot of other people.
Netflix
because,
is one of the few things I do have.
Yeah.
So there you are.
because the El Rey network is only on like some of the biggest cable companies out there, like Comcast and Verizon, and then DirecTV and Dish Network, but the smaller cable outlets for smaller networks.
Are you daring to call Service Electric a small provider?
Oh God.
Some of you may know the jingle. Anyway, so that's Lucha Underground. So thumbs up to that. Next, this is, I'll let you read this one. That's the Caleb Carter question
Okay.
there. Go ahead.
From Caleb Carter wants to know, which one would you rather see out of these options? A, going back to the episode Matt's date versus Lisa. B, Los Lardo versus, excuse me, Stone Cold E.T. Or C, myself versus Vince Russo. Okay. Let's
Let's address option one first.
Yeah.
Sure. I'd watch it.
Yeah, I think that could turn out very well. As a matter of fact, you may have just given us an idea for another episode.
I do want to address that the woman who played my date was a member of the improv troupe that I'm in. Her name's Letitia, and she actually, at the end of that episode, she comes in with a shirt saying, "My husband's a wrestler," and all that. That's actually true. Her husband wrestles for Beyond Wrestling, which they do a lot of stuff in New England. And his name is Johnny Cockstrong. Hell of a guy, good wrestler, so go check out Johnny Cockstrong. But as far as having them fight, who knows? We could come up with a reason for them to fight.
Yeah, I can honestly see the scenario being the two of them just actually doing some sort of finger poke gimmick and then just taking over the show. Because
There you go.
it'd be more entertaining than any of this horse shit.
Yes, because we're just rambling now.
Yeah.
Los Lardo versus Stone Cold E.T. I would kill Stone Cold E.T. Or, I'm sorry, Los Lardo would kill Stone Cold
Yes,
E.T.
he
because
would,
they're very different people.
God, Stone Cold, I can't even remember the last time. How did that start? Was that just some guy who...
He was a guy who, I forget his name, but he would go around and just do drive-through pranks with, like, wrestling characters. I've actually seen some other ones he did aside from Stone Cold E.T. that were very funny. He did one going up as John Cena, and all he did, just kept doing was, like, John Cena, the WWE champion, I have never done steroids. Never have, never will. Never will. Like, it was pretty funny. So he's funny. But I don't know if we could ever actually get in contact with this guy to make that happen. So unless you want to play Stone Cold E.T. And infringe that gimmick, that might be
What's one more on the list?
right, and that might have to be tabled. Now, you versus Vince Russo, I think could easily happen. You could.
Well, considering how out of work that poor son of a bitch is, I'm surprised we don't have his phone number at this point.
I have no idea why I watched this, but I actually watched him interview China for 2 hours.
Oh, God.
After
What's wrong with
Yeah, I know. No. What was it after? It was after the.
I hope it wasn't after one of our shoots.
No. It was. I'm trying to think of the time frame that he did this interview, but it was after something. I think it was after that Stone Cold podcast with Triple H, where he mentioned that they won't have her back because if you Google her, her taking a million dicks inside of a ring actually shows up. But then he was like, I want to make sure that everyone knows that she's not like that. And they, for 2 hours, have a fucking Skype interview. And I mean, granted, I skipped ahead a little bit, but...
I'm afraid to see what she was willing to do in that Skype interview.
It's not... she's changed now.
Oh, she has? Okay.
No, probably not. But,
Just like...
Did you see her response video to that?
Oh, God, I think...
I do a great impression of it here. Well, this is a little thing. So I already have a beer here, so... Yeah, you know, Hunter, you're just an asshole, you know, and you don't even listen, you know, pay attention, and then you go and say that I have problems. You have fucking problems. You know what? You're just a dick. Like, that's kind of, it's like a 5-minute video of her. You're just a dick, and I hate you. It's like she's like a girl at 2 a.m. at the bar.
She sounds like last call at Applebee's.
She absolutely is. She's just sitting there. You're a fucking asshole, and you know what? And I want to make love to you. I mean, no. Like, that's her. I guarantee she's never gotten over that ever. And how could you? Triple H is quite the catch.
Well, but it amazes me too, because I'm trying to see the difference between, like, that's the reason she's likely never to go into the Hall of Fame. But Sunny, who is just as much of a train wreck now, if not more so, is still, as far as I know, she's still there.
Well,
she's about to sign like a legitimate porn deal. She hasn't already.
I heard that, and she did like that wrestling thing with like all those. What was it called? I don't know, but she did some sort of porn thing with wrestling, but it was really just like topless and stuff like that. She never actually got fucked on camera. And the other thing, and I kind of understand what they're saying about that, because if you do Google China, that's what comes up first, pretty much. It might say, you know, hey, she wrestled in WWF, was this and that, but about a couple rows down, there she is, taking cock.
Well,
and I can understand that, because if you want to see the Sunny stuff, you kind of have to dig for that a little bit. Just a little. So
I guess, and you technically, I guess, have to know her real name. But now I don't know if she's promoting herself with just the name Tammy, or if she's actually throwing.
I think
Sunny
she's
in there
Tammy Lynn Sitch still, or
okay.
I don't know if she's been saying Sunny. It's probably when she does autograph signings, it probably underneath says WWF Sunny, because why wouldn't it? But so yeah, you versus Russo could totally happen. All right, the next question we have a couple here from Rick Yanegas. He didn't know how to pronounce your last name.
I was going to be such a dick.
I had to inform him. And if I'm getting it wrong, I'm going to be a real asshole, but I'm pretty sure it's Rick Yanegas. Hey, Rick. I had a couple of them. How hard was it to come up with the full theme songs with lyrics? Really, that's not even ours or my concept. Fucking Edge and Christian did that in 2000, so I don't want people to think that I think I invented that whole thing. I didn't. Other people have done that way before. Fucking Bill Murray on Saturday Night Live used to do lyrics to the Star Wars theme when he was doing a little bit. So again,
and you don't even have the advantage of a kazoo.
No, I don't. But it wasn't difficult. I just kind of. I think the most difficult one to do was definitely the Seth Rollins one, because that was, and you can hear in the song, I make fun of how fucking long it is, because it's the longest goddamn song, and that's the reason, actually, that I didn't do Dean Ambrose after that one, because Dean Ambrose's song is almost 5 minutes.
Yeah, and you would have run the same thing. With,
yes, and it's just kind of the same thing
pattern
over and over again. And granted, that's what Brock Lesnar's is too, but his is 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more material with Brock Lesnar, I think, and there's plenty with Dean, but I don't know if it's 5 minutes worth.
I do know that Rick originally had asked also which one you were planning on doing next, and as it turns out,
he did say Brock should be next.
Yes. And the other suggestion I think that he made was Kevin Owens.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, if there's more in the future, we'll see how that goes. So that's the answer to that. Rick, you had a couple more here. See, both of your favorite wrestlers, current and all time.
This could take a while.
Go.
Oh shit! All right. Well, let's see here. See, in order for me to, I think, properly answer this question, we have to like divide up how often. All right, you can answer this the first time.
I'm kidding. In order to answer this, I'm gonna have to. It started when I was a boy.
Actually, it did. Because one of them is immediately going to be Ric Flair, because that's the first person I ever remember. See, I didn't even know what the hell wrestling was.
Yeah.
And this was when I was. I really don't remember, 4 or 5, and shit, I don't even know what company he was working for, because it was sometime in the early 90s, so I don't know if this is before he came to WWF as the champion, or if it was after he had gone like back to WCW. But anyway, I saw him. I went, what the hell is this? What's good? What are these guys doing inside this ring? And then at some point, I just started watching WWF, and that was the time that Brett and Shawn were like on their way to being like the main eventers. So I think all time is probably going to be Shawn Michaels just by default, because for a while it was Flair, and I think that it still would be if he had just stuck with being retired after that WrestleMania 24 match, because that was like that was the perfect ending of a career. Oh, Jesus Christ Almighty!
Sorry,
that was it. That should have been the end of it. It was sealed up perfectly, especially as it turned out that Shawn Michaels was the one to do it. And unfortunately, because he is Ric Flair and because he does what he does outside of the ring, I think he was in TNA less than a year later.
He was a little broke.
Yeah.
And I think he probably still is. He owes a lot of money to a lot of people. So what current, that part of the equation?
Currently, this is going to sound like such a cliched answer, but it's like all of the main guys that are like now in and coming up through NXT, you know, Kevin Owens, who I still occasionally call Kevin Steen every now and then because of all the time I spent watching him in Ring of Honor, and his I was just watching this thing where he just shits all over Jim Cornette. It was in this it was like this 2.5 hour interview that he did, and he said they did this the angle where Steen gets fired from ROH, and he's throwing chairs at this 50-some-year-old man, and this is almost an exact quote, not giving a fuck if it hit him in the head. So there's him, there's Finn Balor, Prince Devitt, whatever you still want to call him, Sasha Banks, Bayley, the Charlotte, it just the fucking NXT people. And then of course there was this year especially, I think John Cena has been one of the best guys in the company.
Oh yeah,
and he's not getting enough credit for it just because of the stigma that's attached to him at this point.
Yeah, I've never had a huge issue with Cena. He can be very good, he can be very bad, but I think overall I haven't had a big problem with him. But my answer's not going to be nearly as long.
I just think it could change in time. You know what I mean? Because you have to consider like what you enjoyed as a kid versus what you enjoy now, which maybe that doesn't change too much, but I don't know how many people would have said Hulk Hogan back then and would still say that.
Yeah. Well, mine, since you mentioned when you first were exposed to it, I can mention mine. Like the first exposure I think all of us get to wrestling, unless you started watching it from a very early age, the first you see is just like occasionally on a Saturday morning you see it and you stop, and then an adult tells you it's fake and you yell at them. That's how it worked. And then one night, I can probably tell, it was in 1996, it was the night after the Iron Man match at WrestleMania.
Okay.
I didn't know that had happened the night before, but me and my older brother, we stop on Monday Night Raw, and there's this bigger guy in all brown, in the most fucked up mask I've ever seen, pulling his own hair out and squealing. And then sticking his fingers down people's throats, and we're like, who the fuck is that? That's amazing! We have to watch this fucking guy. So that was Mankind was my first kind of, holy shit, that's great. All time, I'd have to say Stone Cold. Because I've always been I've always been a Stone Cold guy. I was never that big into The Rock. I don't mind him, but I've always been a Stone Cold Steve Austin fan. And current, again, I hate to be the, the obvious answer guy, but it's a toss-up between Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar. I love Daniel Bryan. He's out right now, still, unless I haven't seen it in a while, so maybe he came back and I don't know it. I doubt it.
There was someone floated around the crazy, as we record this Night of Champions this Sunday, and the one match that I forgot to mention to you was the Wyatt family, who now has a third member that's not Eric Rowan.
Yeah, I heard about that. Again, I don't have much time to watch it, so...
Versus Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and a mystery partner. Now, there's a lot of names floating around about who this might be. Some are saying Baron Corbin from NXT was the name that was floating around out there. And by the way, the guy that was sitting in front of us at the Chikara show, who immediately, when I even was discussing that with you and Sean, who was sitting next to us, who turned around and me and said, "It's a fake Baron Corbin. Fuck you." Don't just.
While we're giving messages to people who are in front of us at King of Trios, to the man who was in front of me, who whenever you stood up for the high spots and your body odor wafted back to me, fuck you too. I don't know.
Even the same guy.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. But either way, that guy was quite toasty. He smelled fucking terrible.
He looked like a small guy from Willow.
He did. I pointed out to Lisa, that's what my ponytail would look like if I did nothing with it. Like, if I didn't take care of it, that's how mine would look. But anyway, that's getting off the topic. So,
as I was saying, the names that they're floating around are Corbin was one of them. Someone suggested Kane because
why not?
said that, yeah. And then someone said it could be Daniel Bryan because of his previous history with the Wyatts. Now, I would love for that to happen. I just don't know that I don't know that they're ever going to clear him because this is a concussion issue. And when you consider that they're so worried about medical issues right now, plus the fact that they're involved with this lawsuit with one of their former employees in CM Punk, part of which stems from an issue with concussions. So if Punk ever does decide to countersue in this thing that's going on over, say, a concussion, that may not be something that they want to give him to use as fuel. So,
well, if Daniel Bryan is gone, I will miss the shit out of him because I love that. He's what got me really kind of back into watching it regularly. So, love that. And then Brock Lesnar just comes in and murders people. And how do you not love that? That is my favorite thing ever. When he just kills people, I like watching him murder people in the ring.
Which is exactly what he's going to be doing to the Big Show again at the Madison Square Garden WWE Network special.
Maybe this one will be 90 seconds as well. Last time they fought, not wrestled. Last time they fought, that's how long it took.
Oh yeah, that was it. They did eventually ring the bell for that.
They did, I think. I don't remember. We were pretty drunk that night at the golf course.
That's right.
That was the night that they switched.
The strangest place that you would end up watching a wrestling pay-per-view.
Especially that one, because that was the one where Daniel Bryan didn't show up and wasn't in it. That was the night Batista won. And the entire bar started chanting for Roman Reigns, which amazing to think.
Not just the
difference between one year and the next.
Yeah, and as loud as that bar was, and you could still hear the crowd on the show over the commentary, booing the finish of it.
That was quite a night, that one. All right, so we answered that. I think Rick has maybe one more here. Let's see. Yes.
This is the one that's directly.
Actually, he has two. Who turns heel on each other the most between the two of us? I don't even know if we do. I can't say we've ever really got angry or fought over anything.
We've known each other for like.
I think about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I think so, because this is from our old open mic days together.
Yes, our old stand-up days. That's where we met. But I don't think we've ever really gotten like super pissed at each other. So
no, we're too much of like. I don't know, because I hear all the time about like. Even like improv groups and like comedy people and just creative forces who like just fucking bitch each other all the time over the dumbest fucking shit in the world.
I see it all the time, and
it's just the kind of thing that like I don't care enough about
this show.
I don't care enough about little shit to get in squabbles over stuff.
Yeah, our normal like creative process will be, do you want to do that? Yeah. All right, and then or me just going, oh, that's a good one. Okay, cool. Yeah. We've never really like fucking angry at each other. So that one we never really turned heel on one another. And then his next one was, if he paid me enough, would I do a full Jim Cornette commentary over a show for him and his friends? Yes.
That's got to be our next commentary thing then.
Doing that.
We haven't done one since.
We're finding an hour-long pay-per-view if it exists, because I don't know if I can keep up the Cornette for 3 hours. That's true. That's a little rough.
There could be maybe even the Madison Square Garden show, depending on how long that goes, or the Beast in the East one, because that was just or even like an episode of NXT or something.
So if you pay me enough, I'll do practically anything, Rick. So hey, there you go.
That's very true.
That is very true.